have a Sikha from Shabbos Parshas Nitzovim-Vayelech, the 23rd of Elul, from the year Tafshin Lamed Hey. That's 1975. And earlier in this Farbrengen, the Rebbe spoke about how Shabbos Mevorchim, before Rosh Hashanah, the famous word of the Baal Shem Tov, that the Eibishter benches it. The Eibishter is the one that's Mevorach, the Chodesh. He spoke a little bit different details about it. Now the Rebbe is going to address something that's unique, that was unique for that year and also unique for our year. And that is that Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos. So we're going to start after the Dinkis over there, which are those 3 stars. I think they're called the Dinkis. Ois Vav. Noisef al Amr Le'il, in addition to what we said earlier. That's connected with the Shabbos Mevorchim, when we bench the 7th month, which takes place every year, Shabbos Mevorchim of the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. There's also unique and special things that are appropriate for the specific time in the calendar, the way it comes out this year. That also from them one could derive a lesson. Like it's understood from the well-known teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, from every matter that Yid sees or hears, he has to derive a lesson in the service of the Eibishter. How much more so does a person need to derive a lesson in the service of Hashem from something that's connected with the calendar, when certain things come out in the calendar? Since the calendar is something that Torah has established, and it has halachic implications, so therefore for sure there is a lesson that we need to derive from it. Surely there has to be a hayra. Therefore, the unique thing concerning Shabbos Mevorchim, the 7th month, the month of Tishrei of this year, which is, like I said, both applied then in Tafshin Lamed Hey and also this year. The Rosh Hashanah that's going to be coming upon us for good comes out on Shabbos. The Rebbe says the fact that Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, it also has to do with the Shabbos prior to Rosh Hashanah. When we bench the new month, any month, we don't just say that we are benching the next month, the month of Shvat, the month of Nisan. We don't say it without indicating when. Ela nusachu, but rather the phrasing that we use when we bench the new month is Rosh Chodesh Ploini b'Yom Ploini. We designate, we say Rosh Chodesh Nisan in this and this day. So, what about this month? This month we don't bench. So the Rebbe says it doesn't make a difference that we actually don't pronounce it. From this is also understood concerning the Birchas HaChodesh, the fact that Hashem is benching the new month, that he says, that Hashem pronounces and says, not just he's benching the upcoming month of Tishrei, but he says it will be on Shabbos day. And therefore, since it's going to be on Shabbos day, so then we have for sure, if the Eibishter proclaims it as beginning on Shabbos day, for sure there's a great lesson that has to do with this. And the Rebbe is going to explain the special advantage that comes when the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah comes together with Shabbos, in addition to the special quality of Shabbos, but also the quality of Yom Tov that is together with Shabbos. Let's skip over to the next page. It says, in Yom Shel Shabbos, what's the idea of Shabbos? What is Shabbos' uniqueness over the rest of the days of the week? Like it says, that the heavens and the earth and all of its hosts were completed, were finished, were perfected. Shekol Metzias Olam, the entire existence of the world. Shemayim v'oretz v'chol tzevam, the heavens and the earth and everything that's contained in them. He b'maimed u'matzav d'vayechulu, is in a state and situation of being complete. Behind this means she'afal pi shegam v'yimois ha'choil yeshna hinyan d'loil mashem d'varcha nitzav v'shemayim. Though during the weekdays there's the idea of always Hashem, your word is set in the heavens. Shedvar Hashem hu begilui ba'olam ba'ifn the Nitzovim-Vayelech, that the words of Hashem is revealed in the world in a way that it's Nitzov. And we've remember we spoke about this on Monday, the significance of the word Nitzov means it's standing fast like a king. This doesn't touch, this doesn't compare to the ascent that occurs to the entire world on Shabbos, because Shabbos is in a state of completion and perfection. And this ascent and the difference between Shabbos and the days prior to it, the days of the week, is an incomparably higher difference. Behind this means though Shabbos is the seventh day. So as soon as you say the word seventh, that means it's built on the prior days. As soon as you say the seventh of something, that means that it comes in continuation to and comparable to the 6 days of the week that preceded it. How do you do? But it's known that there's in Shabbos also something that is higher than the seventh, that is beyond time. And the next paragraph the Rebbe brings down from the Alter Rebbe that it says Nar Hayisi Gam Zakanti. It's talking about the whole days of the week. The world is like a youth, immature, and on Shabbos it's in a state of elderly, and it's every Shabbos the elevation is like a mature person and an older person over a child. Let's skip over to the paragraph, the third paragraph in the bottom. The Goydel in Yemail Shabbos Muvan Gamizeh, and the great advantage and quality of Shabbos is also understood from the fact Shabbos Kol Malachcha Asuya, that on Shabbos one has to envision themselves as if all their work is done. The attitude that a person has to have on Shabbos is he stops everything going on during the week, not just physically stopping, but his mind and his thoughts are thinking about it. No, it has to be Kol Malachcha Asuya, I'm done with the week. This means during the weekdays, every single day does its job. In such a manner that the avodah that I do, let's say, on a Sunday is a preparation for the day following. So that they are concepts that are continuing and they are building one on top of the other. As opposed to Shabbos, that we said all your work is done, so it like cut off. It stops what we've been doing before. It's a new state that we're in. It's something that's incomparable. Moving from this understood, when Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, so now Rosh Hashanah has an advantage and a quality incomparable to when Rosh Hashanah was during the week. Though Rosh Hashanah in and of itself, regardless of which day of the week, has such a great quality that it comes down a totally new light, a totally new revelation. that was never there in 5,784 years. This is the first time, and that comes such a high level. That's why it says blow in the month shofar. So he says, what does that mean? It means to say, skip the parentheses, shepirushoy, the meaning is b'chidushoy shofar, that you're blowing, you're making a novel and new type of shofar. Shofar mischadish b'chol shana. The shofar, meaning the revelations of Rosh Hashanah, are renewed every year. Yet, despite that great quality that every Rosh Hashanah has, regardless of what day of the year it comes out, Hareza Adayim Begeder Azman, it's still connected with the idea of time. It still has to do with the world of time, with the concept of time. Kimudgish b'shem Rosh Hashanah, like it's emphasized in the name Rosh Hashanah. Shana is an embodiment of time. Year has connected. Yes, Shana Shuin Azman. There's the idea of year, that's the idea of time. Yes, Roy Shalim Azman. And there's the head, the beginning of time. And Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of time. So in time, it's the highest level, but it still relates to time. When Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, it ascends to a level that's beyond time. That's an ascent that's completely incomparable. That was also the part that we skipped earlier in the paragraph that Alter Rebbe explains, that every day of the week is Yom Rishon b'Shabbos, Yom Sheni b'Shabbos, but Shabbos itself is higher than time itself. It's not part of the paradigm of time. So now he says in Ois Ches, this ascent, this elevation, this advantage occurs and impacts all matters of Rosh Hashanah, including that it elevates the Yom Tov nature of Rosh Hashanah. We'll soon identify what is the Yom Tov nature of Rosh Hashanah. But the point is that the Shabbos being higher than all the rest of the days of the week, when Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah coincides with Shabbos, so Shabbos elevates every component of Rosh Hashanah, including the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah. As I said, whatever that means, we're going to explain. Like the exact expression of the Mishnah, it says, Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechalis b'Shabbos. It says the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah that comes out on Shabbos. And the Rebbe in the next paragraph explains, it doesn't say Rosh Hashanah Shechalis b'Shabbos. It could have just said Rosh Hashanah Shechalis b'Shabbos. The din is that outside of the Beis HaMikdash, they don't blow the shofar. Why does the Mishnah say Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechalis b'Shabbos? Because Shabbos doesn't just impact the Rosh Hashanah aspect of Rosh Hashanah, but it also impacts the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah. As we will explain, what is that Yom Tov component that Shabbos impacts. Skip to the next paragraph where it starts V'abir b'zeh, right in the middle of the page. V'abir b'zeh, b'Rosh Hashanah yeshna ha'inyan shenikra b'shem Rosh. There is the component of Rosh Hashanah separate from the Yom Tov aspect. Yom Tov aspect of Rosh Hashanah is one thing, and there's the Rosh Hashanah aspect of Rosh Hashanah. What is the Rosh Hashanah aspect? That it's a head. Like it's explained at length in the Mittler Rebbe's Ateres Rosh, and in short, it's also explained in the Alter Rebbe's Chutei Torah. Just like the head includes in it the life force and vitality of all the limbs of the body. So too Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, it's the head that includes the life force and vitality of the entire year. Since the majority of the days of the year, out of 365 days of the year, if you were to add up all the Shabbosim, all the 52 Shabbosim throughout the year, plus whatever other few Yom Tovim that are non-weekday Yom Tovim. So you have 60, 70, 65 days that are not weekdays. The rest of the year is weekdays. The rest of the 300 of the 365 days of the year, give or take, is our weekdays. Nimtza comes out, Sha'inyan Sha'Rosh Hashanah Koilas Kol Yemei Hashanah Wa'achol She'Rosh Hashanah. The idea that Rosh Hashanah is the head that includes all the days of the year, it's primarily the primary days of the year, which is the weekdays. In addition to the fact that it's the head of the year, meaning it includes all the weekdays of the year, there's the idea of Rosh Hashanah on its own. That's the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah. And the point is that Shabbos causes the Yom Tov part of Rosh Hashanah also to be elevated. Not just it elevates the weekday component of Rosh Hashanah, but also the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah. So now he's going to define for us, what does it mean, the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah? Oistes. The Pratis Yoiser, more specifically in Yonishil Yom Tov, what is the idea of a Yom Tov? Is Moyadim L'Simcha. They are occasions, they are set aside times during the year, set aside for joy, for happiness. The Chazal said, what is the expression of Simcha? Chazal in general, for everything that we do, we need to have a definition. You can't say anything without a definition. It says in the Torah, don't do work on Shabbos. You need to have definitions. 39 types of work, 39 types of labor. It says you need to eat or you need to drink. You need to have a definition. How much is considered eating? A kazayis, how it's considered drinking? A revius, and so on and so forth. The same thing when it says moyadim l'simcha. How do you define simcha? Also, the opposite. We're going to have about Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, it says, you should afflict your souls. What does that mean? Rolling around in the snow if it's snowing outside. Poking yourselves with thorns. What does affliction mean? It doesn't say in the Torah what. Come to Chachamim and define what are the afflictions. There's 5 different things that a Yid is not supposed to do on Yom Kippur. First and foremost, no eating and drinking. The same thing, if we say that Yom Tov is Moedim l'Simcha, v'samachta b'chagecha, we need to know, what is a Simcha? What defines Simcha? Chazal said, Ein Simcha lo b'basar v'ein Simcha lo b'yayin. That joy is only with meat, and joy is only with consumption of wine. How did one do this? So the Alter Rebbe explains it in Shulchan Aruch more specifically. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch, Shebizman shebeis hamikdash hayu kayam hayu oichlim basar shlamim l'simcha. In the times in the Beis Hamikdash was standing, they would eat shlamim meat, the carbon shlamim. They would eat the meat of the carbon shlamim for joy. It was called shalmei simcha. They used to bring the achshav, and now that there's no Beis Hamikdash, there's no shalmei simcha. Ein yotzim midei chayva simcha al b'yayin. We do not fulfill the obligation of joy only with wine. But even though that's the primary way of fulfilling it, umikol makim mitzvah yesh ba'achilas basar b'yom tov chul. There's a mitzvah to eat meat on Yom Tov, which means that when the Chazal say ein simcha al basar, ein simcha al b'yayin, we're not talking here about spiritual ideas. It means basar v'yayin kipshutam begashmis. It means literally physical meat and wine. Like it's explained in the famous Maimer of Alter Rebbe, shesimch atam shesimchas Yom Tov kshura im basar gashmi davke. There's a Maimer where Alter Rebbe explains what's the connection between the joy of Yom Tov specifically with physical meat. From this is also understood concerning why it has to be physical wine. The Alter Rebbe talks about it in a mind. So now he says like this. This is the idea of the meat and wine, that this is the idea of the joy of Yom Tov, and this is going to be a defining factor of Yom Tov, that it's a time of joy. This means to say, when it comes to the weekdays, Matzina, we find it says that someone that is involved in earthly matters, he is not of a more spiritual bent, he is prohibited from eating meat. Only someone that's a more elevated soul, he's more spiritually sensitive, he is capable, he is able to eat meat. Why? What's the distinction? Because a more sensitive person, a more refined person, he can eat things in a way of refining it, of elevating the sparks. As opposed to someone that's not sensitive, instead of him elevating the sparks, the meat or will pull him down into where he's not supposed to be. From the perspective idea of refining the sparks, not only is a Talmud Chacham permitted to eat meat even during the week, but just the opposite. If he doesn't eat meat, then it's great pity on the godly spark in the meat that doesn't become refined. There's a story with one of the Talmidim of the Rabbeim, I don't remember which one, who was a big Rav, and once a shaila came to him about a piece of meat or chicken or whatever, and he was really, really working very, very hard to figure out a way how this can be made permitted. It's very easy to say, oh, well, it's not kosher, boom, throw it out. But he was working very hard, and I don't remember if the person that brought the question to him said, okay, it doesn't make a difference, I'll throw it out. Or someone else asked him about why is he putting in so much effort in it. So he says, after 120, I'm going to go up Lamailo, and this piece of meat or this piece of chicken is going to come with kindness to me and say, why did you not allow me to become elevated? And that's why, because I was so concerned about the godly spark in it, to be able to find a way to elevate it by making it and establishing that it's kosher. Anyway, next thing, the Rebbe says in the brackets a very interesting thing. It seems to be that there was a story that went around about the Alter Rebbe, that I guess the story was trying to indicate the Alter Rebbe's holiness, that the Alter Rebbe used to do all types of afflictions, including fasting from Friday to Friday. In other words, he broke his fast by night, whatever, but essentially a whole week he didn't eat until Shabbos. So the Rebbe says this doesn't make any sense. Based on what we just now said, it's understood why the Frierdiker Rebbe did not like this story, or did not appreciate, or did not believe in the story. Well, to know, that the father, my father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, did not give any credence to what they told over. The Alter Rebbe used to do different types of afflictions. We saw the matter of Shabbos, and he fasted from one Friday to the next Friday, or doesn't mean Friday to Friday. What it means is between the whole week until Friday came. As he explained, the Frierdiker Rebbe explained in short why he had difficulty with this. It's in addition to the fact that the whole purpose, the whole idea of the Alter Rebbe is refining and elevating. And how do you refine and elevate something? It doesn't happen through afflicting oneself, but rather in a way of, you should surely help out the chamor sarnacha that's collapsing under its load, meaning the nefesh habahamis that's collapsing. You're not supposed to afflict it, you're supposed to elevate it. This is all when it's not Yom Tov, that there's a distinction, someone that's more sensitive, someone that's less sensitive, an Amaretz, a Talmud Chacham, etc. But Yom Tov stands out. Yom Tov, we said, is Moyadim l'simcha. It's a time when we're obligated. It's a mitzvah to eat meat. It's a mitzvah to drink wine. But concerning Yom Tov, achilas basar, hu inyan naila, eating meat is a high and elevated and lofty thing. Shal yodai mekaimim a mitzvah de simchas Yom Tov. Through that we fulfill the mitzvah of rejoicing on Yom Tov. This is all because we're trying to drill down to the idea of Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah. That Shabbos elevates even the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah, which the Yom Tov component is the idea of rejoicing. So now the Rebbe is going to challenge himself. Said, what? Rosh Hashanah is not about rejoicing. Other Yom Tov is about rejoicing, not Rosh Hashanah. Though seemingly it has no connection with Rosh Hashanah, the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch that in the nusach of davening, our Rosh Hashanah, we leave out the words that we say in other Yom Tov davenings. We leave out the words Moedim L'Simcha. How come? Because these days, the days of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, they were not given for happiness and rejoicing. So this whole idea that we're trying to talk about, that there's the weekday aspect of Rosh Hashanah and there's the Yom Tov aspect of Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Tov is a time of rejoicing, Ma'adim L'Simcha, and the Simcha is with a physical Simcha of meat and wine, seemingly that shouldn't apply to Rosh Hashanah. So the Rebbe says, hold on. Also, on Rosh Hashanah, there's the idea of joy. But the difference is, the rejoicing is not in a revealed way. Like the Alter Rebbe explains what it says this week, this parsha, the Shabbos, when we're going to bench Rosh Hashanah. It says over there at the beginning of Torah, Sois osis ba'avayim, I will surely rejoice with Hashem, Tagil nafshi belakai. My soul will have gila, will have happiness. We'll soon see what the difference is between Sasin, Sois osis, and Tagil. So the Alter Rebbe explains in that Maimer, Shahefret ben Simcha legilahu, the difference between Simcha and Gila, Tagil nafshi. The word simcha, for that matter, also sasin, is when it's revealed outward. And when is that? What time of the year does that apply? It's the Yom Tov Sukkot, which is in general called the time of our rejoicing. Gila, it's called when the simcha is still in the inner part of the heart. It doesn't come out revealed externally. Like it says in the pasuk, you shall be happy with trembling. How does the two things fit? Because since the word gila, as in gilu, means a hidden joy, so it's possible to do it in trembling. Outwardly is trembling. Inside there's the gila. Rosh Hashanah is the time of gilu berada. So now the Rebbe is going to add another nuance to this. Not only is this Shabbos connected to Rosh Hashanah, where Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Tov, is there with the rejoicing. The only thing is the rejoicing is concealed. But if you read the Haftarah, you see both expressions are used. Both Sois Asis and Tagil. That means this Shabbos with which we bench Rosh Hashanah has both components, the concealed joy and the revealed joy. Let's see a second paragraph from the bottom. If you say them as though we could add even more so. The beginning of the pasuk is I will surely rejoice. And afterwards it says my soul will have gilam. Va'afal became, despite the fact that it begins with Sois Asis, and Sois Asis means a revealed joy. Nikva pasuk zeh loy b'haftarah Shabbos shlifnei Sukkos. This pasuk wasn't established in the Haftorah of the Shabbos prior to Sukkot, which Sukkot is the open joy we just now brought from the Alter Rebbe. Ela b'Haftorah Shabbos Lifnei Rosh Hashanah. We established this Haftorah reading to read this pasuk that says both revealed and concealed joy in the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. From this, we must say, Shagam b'Rosh Hashanah yesh loy raka inyan the togel nafshi. At Rosh Hashanah, there's not only the concealed joy, elagama inyan the sois asis shezoy hasimcha shabis galus. Also the idea of sois asis, which is the revealed joy. Va'adrab. Not only does it also have, but what's the first thing in the pasuk? Gam b'Rosh Hashanah yesh tchila inyan the sois asis. Also, Rosh Hashanah, there is initially at the beginning there is sois asis. Rak la'achar is yesh inyan the togel nafshi, and only afterwards there's the idea of the rejoicing, the concealed rejoicing in such a type of way of the joy is covered over by other things. So the question is, so how does that fit? So he says, the explanation this is, Shekiyum kol mitzvah tzarech li is besimcha. The fulfillment of every mitzvah has to be out of joy. And here the Rebbe introduces a very geschmacked thing. The joy that I have to have because of a mitzvah is not just that I'm joyous at the time of fulfilling the mitzvah. To such a degree that the joy is not just during the actual fulfillment of the mitzvah I'm joyous, even prior to fulfilling the mitzvah. The kivun sheyadeh sha'omer take of l'kayim mitzvah, since he knows that he's about to immediately fulfill the mitzvah. Hareu misoyre kvar beregish shel simcha. He's already awakening with a feeling of joy. Valderech zemenin dedan, similar to this in our case, should be yod, should take if magia Rosh Hashanah, knowing that immediately Rosh Hashanah is arriving. That he knows that his soul will have the level of gila, even though it's a concealed joy. Already prior to Rosh Hashanah, he's already awakening, he's already inspired with a feeling of joy. The Shabbos Mevarchim before Rosh Hashanah, he's already being happy. That's the Haftorah of this Shabbos. This Shabbos we're already so excited because the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah component. And the Rebbe says this is not just a Chassidish word, but we actually have this in Shulchan Aruch, that Shulchan Aruch actually brings down the Tur, which Shulchan Aruch is based on, brings down this idea of in preparation for Rosh Hashanah, we're already joyous. The Chaynu al pi nigla is also according to the revealed part of the Torah. Can move a Torah like it's brought down the Torah. She Yisrael loivshim levanim misatfim levanim. Yidden garb themselves in white and they wrap themselves in white. White shows on a joyous type of garment. They eat and they drink and they're rejoicing at Rosh Hashanah. Because they know that Hashem will make for them a miracle. Therefore, the custom is to take a haircut and to wash one's clothes before Rosh Hashanah, because this is all already before Rosh Hashanah. We are preparing for the Simcha of Rosh Hashanah. So the same thing on the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, we're already in the state of rejoicing, Sois Asis B'Hashem, even before we come to the Tagil Nafshi Belakoi that's going to take place during Rosh Hashanah itself. V'zeu adiuk Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechalis B'Shabbos. That's what it says. The Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos. With Mikdash Hayitoikim of Leib Medina, and the base of Mikdash they would blow the shofar, but not the rest of the country. Shepu'ulas HaShabbos Hi Loirak Be'inyan Shel Rosh Hashanah Shekolos Kol Yimei Hashanah Shezeu Nachol Shabai. The effect of Shabbos is not only in the matter of Rosh Hashanah, that includes all the days of the year, that we said that is the weekday part of Rosh Hashanah, Elagam Be'inyan Shel Rosh Hashanah Mitzad Atzmai Shezeu HaYom Tov Shabai. That it also affects the idea of Rosh Hashanah, as Rosh Hashanah is on its own, the Yom Tov component of Rosh Hashanah, the joyous part of Rosh Hashanah, etc. Va'adrab, even more so, Zeu Ikar HaChidush HaBedavar, that's the true novelty in this. Kipulos HaShabbos B'Nachol SheBeRosh Hashanah Einoi Chidush. The effect of Shabbos in the weekday of Rosh Hashanah is not such a novelty, it's not such a unique thing. Shani Kol Shabbos Poyel B'Sheisim Ya'achol Sheyavoy from the Vaychulu. Every Shabbos affects the 6 days of the week. That should be in a way of completion. HaChidush Hu Shegam B'Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah. The novelty and uniqueness is also Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah, which is already an elevated thing. It's already a joyous time. Nasi Ilush Be'ein HaRoich Mitzad Inyan HaShabbos becomes an idea of incomparably higher because of the level of Shabbos. And the lesson from this is, like the demand of our Rebbeim, our leaders, that everything has to have an outcome of it. We're going to skip over a little bit. The Kivan Shabbos Kol Malach Chasuyah, second paragraph. Since Shabbos, all your work has to be like it's done. There's no idea of being involved in gathering your grain. You're not involved in the worldly things. Just the opposite. And he brings to the Alter Rebbe that Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that during Shabbos even a business person has to be elevated. Skip over to the next paragraph. Since Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, so the entire upcoming year has to be on the level of Shabbos, a Shabbos-tic year. Yid feels that all of his work is done. This is like in a way similar to a betachin type of feeling. He feels that it's Shabbos the whole year. He has no worries. He's on Hashem's shoulders over here. And he has everything ready. So in truth, the next year, it's not about my work in the world. It's all Hashem doing this. Only because Hashem wants that a Yid should be his partner in the creation. Therefore we ask him, we say he has to work in the world. Through that he brings in the vitality and energy of Kedusha in all matters of the world. But to say that I need for my own needs, that's why I have to work? No. I'm not working for my own needs. Anything that he needs, Yesh loy min amuchan, he has ready. V'kivim shekain, since this is the case, hari bevadai shinyonei ha'esek eina mevalvla moisim melimud ha'torah ha'boifim tetrasim nosei. Surely matters of business and the workday week does not disturb him from Torah study to such a degree that his Torah is his profession. So in other words, the Rebbe says, our mind has to be in an elevated state this entire year because it starts off with a Shabbos. So that's how our whole year has to feel like. That it's all Hashem doing. I don't have to do any of this. The only reason I got to do is because Hashem wants me to engage with this world. Malachas kam v'kama, how much more so? If the whole year is a Shabbos-tic year, surely that Shinyan Rosh Hashanah Atzmei, the matters of Rosh Hashanah itself, and L'loi Bilbulim are without any disturbances. That are Rosh Hashanah for sure, everything is like taken care of. Not like if Rosh Hashanah would come out on the weekday, so he's got to worry about his avodah, about Tkiyas Shofar, his kavanas, his intentions, his spiritual awareness. Nothing. It's Shabbos. It's automatic. Whatever Shofar would have accomplished in the middle of the week, Shabbos takes care of it. Kol malach chasuya. All your work is done. Rather in a way that Shabbos is sanctified and stands through Hashem. Like the expression of the Haftorah of this upcoming Shabbos later on in the Haftorah. Who is this that comes from Edom talking about Hashem? I look and there's no support, there's no help. Meaning, Hainu Shakadosh Baruch Hu Mistakel Misvivoy. This means that Hashem looks around him. Guckt sich herum in Yiddish. He sees there's no one that assists the Yidden. So then my arm, my strength is what helps. Ligos Yisrael ba'atzmai. Hashem is the one that redeems the Yidden on their own. He manages all alone. He doesn't need even the Yidden's help. Again, this is the ultimate state of betachon and elevation and reliance on the Eibishter. It's not about us. It's all about Hashem. Like Chizkiyahu HaMelech said when Sancheiriv was going to attack, Chizkiyahu was on a very high level that the Eibishter wanted to make a Mashiach. So we know that when Chizkiyahu said this, it was because of a very high spiritual level. I have no koyach anymore. I have no power and energy to do anything against Sancheiriv and his troops. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to go to bed. You, the Eibishter, will do it. So that's the Rebbe says as well. All matters. Rosh Hashanah matters. Worldly matters. Weekday matters. Betachon. Completely on the Eibishter's cheshbon. Until the conclusion of the Haftorah, he takes them and he raises them up. In the way of standing upright, with an upright stature, always, and the everlasting joy upon their heads.